Good evening, everyone. This is the reporting of Group 2. Course MTEC 101, period prelim Monday, Friday, 6:01 p.m. to 7:31 p.m. Week 1, Session 1, topic Collision Regulation 1972, Rules 4 to 7. Group 2 members, Cadet Asingwa Aaron Inoy, Cadet Walat Chris Anthony, Cadet Cantiga Reynaldo Jr., Cadet Daginutas Clifford Edison Cabura.
Course outcome: working knowledge of the use of Rules 47 as stipulated in the international regulations for preventing collisions of two 1972. Course outcome: explain the working knowledge of the use of Rules 47 as stipulated in the international regulations for preventing collisions at sea 1972. Importance of the topic: the student will have a working knowledge of the use of Rules 47 as is stipulated in the international regulations for preventing collisions at sea 1972.
So part B, steering and sailing rules. Section 1, the conduct of vessels in any condition of visibility. Next slide please. So part 4, application. Next slide please. The rules in this section apply in all condition of visibility, meaning the above section applies to all vessels and under any condition of visibility that is good visibility, as well as when under poor visibility, whatever the cause may be. Next slide please. Rule 5, lookout. Every vessel shall at all times maintain a proper lookout by sight and hearing, as well as by all available means appropriate in the prevailing circumstances and conditions, so as to make a full appraisal of the situation and of the risk of collision. Meaning, lookout is very important and should take about 70 to 80% of the watchkeeping officer's time. The rest is to be the full appraisal of what he sees, the action that is taken by him. Lookout is also for getting the feedback on the action that he or the other ship took to avoid the situation. Lookout means to see and understand the situation by sight and hearing, as well by other means which may be by radar and GPS and by any other electronic devices. Appropriate in the prevailing condition means in condition of poor visibility, the radar and ears may be the only means of detecting other vessels. Here again, the range scale selection should be appropriate. If the vessel is in the middle of a fishing fleet, there is no point keeping a watch on 12 nautical mile range and only on one radar. If two radars exist, then one should be set to a smaller range and the other on 12 nautical mile for detecting other vessels. If only one radar is available, the periodic switches have to be done between smaller scale and a longer scale. In any case, the echo sounder, the log, the GPS, and the chart and vessel's charted position have have to be also monitored because for the full appraisal of the situation, all factors have to be taken into consideration. Can the owned vessel alter to keep out of the way or is it better to slow down? Next slide please.
Rule 6, safe speed. So, every vessel shall at all times proceed at a safe speed so that she can take proper and effective action to avoid collision and be stopped within a distance appropriate to the prevailing circumstances and conditions. Safe speed doesn't have an exact measurement of knots the ship should do in navigating. So, a safe speed is a speed less than the maximum at which the operator can make improper and effective action while navigating. So, there are many factors to determine a safe speed. In determining a safe speed, the following factors shall be among those taken into account. In Part A, by all vessels, safe speed can be determined by the state of visibility. If you have a clear visibility of the area, you can proceed to much higher knots. But when the visibility is not good enough, you could lessen your knots to prevent a accident while navigating. Second is the traffic density, including concentrations of fishing vessels or any other vessels. So if there is a traffic density of a ship, especially by fishing vessels or any other vessels, you should proceed to a safe speed to avoid collision with other vessels. Third is the maneuverability of the vessel with special reference to stopping distance and turning ability into prevailing conditions. So if you are going to stop at a specific distance or to turn in a specific distance, you should proceed at a speed that would allow your vessel to maneuver properly. Fourth is at night, the presence of background lights such as from shore lights or from backscatter of her own lights. So during nighttime, the visibility in the area could be affected by the background lights or your own scatter of lights in the ship. So a vessel should proceed to a safe speed that would prevent the ship from accident or from colliding from another vessel. Fifth is the state of wind, sea, and current and the proximity of the navigational hazard. So when the state of wind are and sea and current are stronger and the proximity of navigational hazards are present, you should proceed in a safe speed where you can avoid a accident by this kind of state. Last is the draft in relation to the available depth of water. So when you have a lesser draft in relation to availability depth of water, you should proceed into the safe speed so that you will be able to make a proper appraisal when you are going into a shallow water. Part B is the additional by vessels with operational radar. So first is the characteristics, efficiency and limitations of the radar equipment. So when your ship has a defect or a problem during the efficiency and limitations of the radar equipment, you should proceed to the safe speed so that you can be able to have a proper appraisal of the situation since the characteristics of your radar equipment are not in the 100% condition. Second is any constraints imposed by radar range scale in use. What is constraints? So there are many kind of constraints. Third is the effect on radar detection of the sea state, weather, and other sources of interference. So when your radar are affected by the sea state or weather, you should proceed to the safe speed. Fourth is the possibility that small vessels, ice, and other floating objects may not be detected by radar at an adequate range. So you should proceed into a safe speed that would enable you to turn or make a proper appraisal to avoid collision with another vessel. Fifth is the number and location and movement of vessels detected by radar. So when your equipment or your operational radar are not working properly by detecting the number, location, and movement of other vessels within the vicinity, so you should proceed to the safe speed to properly avoid collision with other vessel. Lastly is the more exact assessment of the visibility that may be possible when radar is used to determine the range of vessels or other objects in the vicinity. So when your radar cannot assess the situation 100% in determining the range of other vessels, you should proceed into safe speed since you cannot detect if the vessels are near or far from you, and that will help you to properly avoid a situation especially collisions of ships in the vicinity.
Risk of collision, Rule 7. But before we proceed of Rule 7, what is risk of collision? And how do we know if there is a risk of collision? Risk of collision exists when two vessels are following courses that would take them to the same position in a few minutes. Risk of collision would not exist for two slow-moving vessels 16 miles apart heading for the same position. If you are in this kind of situation, we should follow the Rule 7, which is risk of collision. Next slide, please. Part A. Every vessel shall use all available means appropriate to the prevailing circumstances and conditions to determine if risk of collision exists. If there is any doubt, such risk shall be deemed to exist. So, every vessel shall use all available means that are appropriate to that situation. Part B. Proper use shall be made of radar equipment fitted in operations, including long-range scanning to obtain early warning of certain collisions and radar flashing for equivalent thematic observation of detected objects. Part C. Assumption shall not be made on the basis of scanty information, especially scanty radar information. So, every vessel should use all the equipment that are available in their ship in order to assess if there is a risk of collision in their vicinity. Next slide, please. In determining of risk of collision, if risk collision exists, the following considerations shall be among those taken into account. First, such risk shall be deemed to exist if the compass bearing of an approaching vessel appreciably change. If you see in your radar or any available means of equipment that you use, and if you see that there's another vessel and you see that the compass bearing doesn't change and it is approaching to your vessel, then there should be a risk of collision. Part 2. Such risk may sometimes exist even when appreciable bearing change is evident, particularly when approaching a very large vessel or when approaching a vessel at close range. So, when you see at your radar that there's a vessel and there's a change of bearing, you should still you should still you should still think that there's a risk of collision because if there's a sudden change of bearing and that bearing is not evident, then there's deemed to be risk of collision.
So, as you can see from all the rules that we have presented, from rules 4 to 7, each rule stated the proper way of having a proper appraisal to avoid collision on ships. For example, Rule 5, lookout, which is a work on ship that would help the navigators to prevent collision by having a lookout checking the vicinity of the area. Rule 6 is the safe speed where the vessel should adjust the knots or speed according or depending the situation that has been in the vicinity. Lastly is the risk of collision where you must be able to determine if there is a risk of a collision or there should be a risk of collision that might exist while you are in the area or in the vicinity. For references for our report, this is titled Colreg 1972 Rules 47 link is FILC document.txt/m/local /m/KL.50. So you can see the RC become the number one has. That will be all for this reporting. Thank you and God bless. Thank you.